So today I want to share with you this journey that some of you are aware that I've been on. It's called, this project is called Paper Napkin Wisdom. And the idea started a few years ago, and I'm going to tell you the story about how it started. But it started a few years ago, and the premise is that I collect these pearls of wisdom on a paper napkin. You know what? I wanted to be a difference maker. You know, I have this BHAG that I've carried around in my pocket for years, and it's that I believe that small changes make a big difference, and together we can change the world. And I felt really awkward sharing that with anybody. I felt so awkward sharing that with anybody because I really felt like, who am I to say that? I'm not successful enough. I am not that successful yet. In fact, I'm barely hanging on. How could I save the world? I think in this room we can all say honestly that we have hidden, right? We've all hidden behind something. It might not be this Iron Man thing. It might be some other lie that we tell ourselves a lot out in public, just so that we can get the courage to get through the day. But I want to suggest something else to you, is that courage shows up when you show up. When you show up in your most vulnerable and honest and open self, an amazing thing happens. The courage to show up and do the thing that you needed to do shows up too. We all understand that if we have a goal, right, in our hearts and heads, we're more successful than people who walk through life aimlessly, right? We can nod our heads and say, yeah, that's true. Now, if we have a goal and write it down, we're more successful than those other people who just have it in their heads, right? We know that, which is why you guys write down your KPIs and your priorities and all that kind of stuff. And the number that's come out in recent studies around this is that you're automatically 36.7% more successful by having a goal and writing it down. Well, that's a pretty strong ROI, right? 36.7, but it's only 36.7. You can get much better. And they found that having a goal, writing it down, and sharing progress, sharing feedback on a weekly basis with a group of peers takes you to 76.7% success. Well, that's some decent ROI. Now, if we nailed 3 out of every 4 goals we've ever written down for ourselves or thought of for ourselves, where would we be today? It started with the Dean of the Leadership Academy starting off with this principle that you start every day with intention. 10 minutes of reading great thoughts, 10 minutes of writing great thoughts, and 10 minutes of thinking great thoughts before your feet hit the ground, before you get out of bed in the morning. Why don't I go around, meet up with some of these amazing leaders and difference makers from around the world, and maybe I could have this one-on-one connection with them. We could go to a restaurant, we'd sit down, we could talk about their paper napkin wisdom, their pearl of wisdom that they'd picked, that they'd learned over the years, this key success factor. They'd give it to me, I'd write about it, and I could have a book. So it's not a system and process that I picked up somewhere else. This is a system and process that I discovered over time. You see, the journey started with that one napkin and then continued. So in the 1 year that went from that 2012 to 2013 where I did one napkin, in the next 6 months, I'd collected 1,000 paper napkins from world leaders, and I'd done almost 100 interviews. It was incredible how quickly things changed for me. A friend of mine, Rob Simons, who had done a paper napkin wisdom for me, actually turned the tables on me. And this is what made it very difficult and really interesting, because he said, why don't you give me a paper napkin and I'll interview you about it. And you could tell me about what you've learned. What that forced me to do is actually figure it out, what I had learned so far. And the number one thing was visibility and accountability. If you want to grow, if you want to learn, you have to do what scares you and do it in public. And why is that important? Because when you do it in public, everybody comes with you. When you do it in public, you can't hide behind, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. Because that's what we do. And you know, the thing is, if you're someone who can talk a pretty good game, and most of us as entrepreneurs, most of us as leaders can talk a pretty good game, we can talk ourselves and everybody out of the fact that we even said the things that we said. Right? So doing it in public holds us accountable. Leadership is never owned, it's rented. And the rent is due every day. When I'm out of the office, and I get to be out of the office a whole lot, I'm only actually, on my scorecard as a leader in my companies, I'm only required to be in the office 2 days. But I'm graded on that. So 2 days a week I need to be in the office. The other days, every day, I send an email, a group email out to my team that says, make it a great day. And I tell them where I am, and then I'm thinking of them. Because leadership is also never owned, it's rented. Where's the cheerleader, and you're the cheerleader in your organization? That's your role as a leader. To be the cheerleader, to bring energy to the group, to bring energy to the team, to bring the alignment. Because again, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And these voices would say things like this. John Ruhlin built a huge company on this basis. What you appreciate appreciates. What you appreciate appreciates. Do you have a system and a process in your company for appreciating people? Leaders will show fear. Leaders will be afraid. Be afraid about when you're going to do the thing that you're going to do. When you take that step forward, face that fear. Fear is actually our true north. It's our barometer for where we need to go. Let it point you in the right direction. Face it. But face it with your team. I used to use all kinds of distractions to get out of things. Go out for drinks, avoid work, avoid the hard work. But procrastination, when we're procrastinating, it's because we're feeling the resistance of the thing that we need to do. And for me, facing that, working through it was essential. Because working through it was like stepping out of shelter and into the rain. We all have more to give. We have more to do. We have more that we can accomplish than we think we can. Change the way you look at the world, and then change the world you live in. You have the ability. So start now. Start now. Take action. Lose yourself, start now, and take action. Being scared and being afraid and fear is actually a good thing. Fear is a powerful motivator, and for us as entrepreneurs, what I learned through the paper napkin experience is that all of the great leaders feel fear. And we trick ourselves into doing urgent things and putting off the important. And we do that because we're afraid. And we're not alone. All the other leaders do it. I know that's not popular thinking, right? We can have all the support, but it's the difference between taking that well-worn path around the edge side of the forest or going right into the forest. That's facing our fears. And we have to do that on our own. We have to step out of the shelter and into the rain. FAA. Because there are only three things that are important. Focus, focus, focus. So the F is for focus. FAA, focus. Focus on where you want to go. And when you know that you feel that fear point and it pushes you back into a corner, and you want to hide and you want to go back into the shelter, you know that you need to step out into the rain and take a step. Let the inertia of life take over. Practice doing that with little things. And ask for help. Ask for spotters. Because that's the A. Alignment is really important. I'm talking about aligning yourself with spotters, with support, with a team, and asking for help. I aligned people with help in the areas that I really needed the help. They came to help me, but I still needed to take the steps. And how do you take those steps? Well, that's the last A. Focus, align. The last one is act. This is the hard one. When you let the inertia of life show up, help you, and take a step, it starts to push you towards the end. When I showed up, courage showed up. When I showed up, all kinds of amazing things happened. What do I have to do? So the reality is you all have so much to give. You all hear that call to serve. You all know that you're here to play for some bigger game. You're here to make a difference. And that's what excites me about your group. You don't come here to be average. You have so much to give. Start now. Thank you.